Hello, this is PubShorts episode 27, Personal AI, because we have a lot of personal AI supercomputing to talk about. Tony, hi Tony, I'll introduce myself. I'm Dr. KK, Innovation Officer at Trinca and Inago. And Tony, hi.
Hi, this is Personal Tony. Tony O'Rourke. I'm VP for partnerships here at Inago, and I appreciate the Depeche Mode reference to this particular episode.
So, do you agree that we have to reach out and touch faith?
I agree that we have to reach out.
All right, Tony. So, what is PubShots if somebody were to reach
So,
out to us and ask?
yeah, so PubShots is a regular podcast that KK and I record when we talk about aspects relating to the use of technology, particularly AI, within scholarly communication. And as I say, it happens a good couple of times a week.
Well, and if you are interested in knowing more about Inago or Trinca, just search for us on social media. And if you're watching this on YouTube, live streaming or watch on demand, please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell
Yeah,
notification icon and share the content with your friends, because you never know, because some of the stuff that we talk about, including the personal AI supercomputing that we'll shortly talk about, might be hitting your desk labs very soon. So with that, Tony, I'm shifting to our first story, and this is primarily themed around AI, and we are opening with a story, an article on the Scholarly Kitchen. It is titled "AI and Content: The 2024 Trend That Wasn't." And the related opportunity that exists. So already, we are talking about, looking retrospectively in the past year. So this article discusses the EU laws that prompt right holders, as in content right holders, to reserve their rights in terms of using their data for licensing. In a nutshell, if suppose I'm a researcher, if I'm publishing in a certain publisher, then I need to provide consent as to whether they can sell, as in the publishers can give my data to AI companies for training their models. And it notes the influence of EU exceptions on the commercial text and data mining, and observes that publishers are cautious about AI due to high quality content that needs to be created, and the high quality content that is published in scholarly research paper. And it concludes with a call to fair compensation for content use. So question to you, Tony: your general thoughts on companies treating user data as all you can eat buffets for, buffet for the last several years, and how would one keep a tab? I mean, I'm genuinely wondering, how could one keep a tab on what is licensed, or what is legally licensed for training? So I'll leave the floor to you. You can chime in with your
that's a
thoughts.
that's a really difficult question to answer. I mean, it ultimately comes down to the relationship that you've licensed your content to. Increasingly, um, historically, it was once you've assigned the paper to a publisher, to a journal, it was then the rights for the publisher to be able to exploit that and use that content as they saw fit.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, within fair purposes and fair use
Mm-hmm.
rules. And over the last 15 years, we've seen increasing amounts of regulation or requirements, I should say, to move away from these kind of like general open transfer agreements
Mm-hmm.
to more control. That's why the Creative Commons licenses have been so important in terms of defining how content can be used. I think the use of content within AI is going to be the topic of this year, one of the topics of this year, and how licensed content can and shouldn't be used for training purposes. And we're going to see, I know we saw last year publishers like Taylor and Francis, Oxford University Press, and others agree to license
Mm-hmm.
some of their content, some of the big large language models.
Right.
I think that what you are going to see this year is we're going to see a lot more rejections of that from publishers, particularly from society publishers, and we're going to start to see some kickback, and we're going to start to see some alternative ways of getting hold of their content being considered. So it's a very interesting topic, and I'm sure there's no simple answer. But to answer the simple answer to your question is, check with your publisher.
Mm-hmm.
What rights have I assigned to you? If you don't understand what those rights are, ask.
Right, and the one thing that the article stresses on is that it reservation of rights does not limit the content available for research or for other training purposes. It's just
Yeah,
that we need to know who is giving the rights and who has given the right. That
yeah,
kind of a thing.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. You know, you've got I don't know how many millions of scientific articles out there, which fall within copyright restrictions, which have to be protected.
Mhm.
You know, and for that content to be used without permission is a potential legal issue.
Right, and a related topic. It's a news article published in stmassociation.org, and it is basically it's titled "Creative Rights in AI Coalition Calls on Government to Protect Copyright as the General Artificial Intelligence Policy develops." So, STM Association has joined the Creative Rights in AI Coalition, and generative AI is changing how we innovate as a society, and protecting copyright is very important, as the article states, and so they are very proud to have joined. The coalition urges collaboration between creative and tech sectors. They call on the government to protect copyright in AI policies, and public support is strong for transparency and royalties in AI training. So eventually, the coalition aims for a fair licensing market for creating content, which is sort of what we discussed. And Tony, you're predicting that this is a main theme for the
As I say, I'm not sure how much more I can say about this. It's
Mm,
going to be the topic of this year. STM, as a trade organisation, is absolutely right to want to protect the rights of its members,
mm-hmm,
uh, and to define and create frameworks
mm.
to make licensing possible.
Right. And do you work closely with the STM Association, Tony, or is there somebody
I,
from
I,
our
I
organization?
used to, I used to, as an organisation, part of our organisation is a member of the STM association. So yeah, we are involved.
Right. All right, moving on to the next story, which is not quite. I mean, generally we cover these such stories in a peer review themed episode, but in this case, we have a blend of peer review related AI stories, but they are nevertheless AI stories. So this is a new, let's say, GitHub repository. It is titled Gemini Research Reviewer. So the tool that is available here offers AI powered feedback on research papers, but what we're talking again is computer science related research, and it's designed to help researchers improve their work, which is sort of giving feedback. Constructive feedback and writing suggestions are provided as of now, and all researchers have to do is to upload the PDF and get a quick response or give quick responses. And these outputs are downloadable as Jupyter notebooks, which are a means, I guess, a platform where computer coding or computer science people store information, including code themselves. And the platform plans to have an interactive chatbot kind of a feature very soon, so it will give live feedback. So this is very cool in my opinion. But Tony, are you impressed? I mean, we are seeing so many AI feedback mechanisms for computer science. We still do not see sufficient for non-computer science fields, right?
You know, papers like this that kind of tax my brain. You know, I'm sure the what this service is trying to do is already happening in some way in certain areas like computer science, maybe
Mm-hmm.
in certain areas of physics. There is a much greater sense of collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and authors are sharing code, authors are sharing ideas with each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to work in every single area, particularly in highly sensitive areas or areas where there's a great deal of IP
Mm-hmm.
potentially at stake. But it shows that computer scientists, as you would expect, are at the forefront in terms of experimenting with the way AI can be used to improve or to support the
Mm-hmm.
review process. So I'm interested to see how it goes.
So this is, I think, we are about 9 months after ChatGPT's plugin store or a custom GPT store had its own reviewer. Now, this is the main difference. If somebody is looking at it, is that this is probably the first time that I've seen a Gemini, a large language model being employed. And I'm reading that Gemini is the latest models of Google. That is, Gemini models are very good to do such tasks. So this is an interesting thing. I would love to explore it. I don't have a Gemini Pro license, but I'm still, we are looking
Give
for.
it time.
Yeah, maybe we should have more pro, what is it? Subscriptions to all the large language models.
I'll be interested to hear from Gemini Pro users. If any Gemini Pro users out there have used this or
Mm,
experiences in terms of they feel
yeah.
how they use it, how it's benefited them.
We would love feedback. If you have already used this, please let us know. You can comment in the YouTube channel, YouTube under the YouTube video, or maybe on LinkedIn if suppose you are watching this on LinkedIn, or on any social media platforms. But Tony, we are sticking to Google because Google has published AI Business Trends 2025 document, a wonderfully designed document, I have to say. And Tony, you shared this with me, and it seems like you are very excited to talk about it. So, do you want to give an overview before I go through my notes?
No, if only to say everyone knows Google. They're a serious player in this space.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think their predictions about the five main areas
Hmm.
that I think it's slide 8 on that presentation. The five areas that people need to watch
Right.
for 2025 is real. Here we are. Look,
Yeah.
it's about multimodal AI,
Mm-hmm.
about the use of AI agents, assistive search, AI powered customer experience, security. We've spoken about three of those topics in PubShorts.
Mm-hmm.
And Google are coming forward and saying, okay, these are the areas where we see there's going to be the most use and it's going to be the most in trends in 2025. So um, read the report. It's a very interesting report, obviously from the perspective of Google as a vendor in its own right. But when Google speaks, we have to listen.
Right. So, when you mentioned three, I think you mentioned multimodal AI agents and probably security. Is that right?
Um, yeah, I think we also talk about assistive search.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, fine. Because I think we have covered all of it. Maybe less focus on AI powered customer experience, but at the same time,
Yeah,
it's a
I did that
very
before. Yeah,
very sort of valid use case, as at least in research related. If publishers are all looking at employing AI, I think technology to help their user, that is primarily researchers and authors, to to improve their experience, to find the right journal. And we ourselves are collaborating with some publishers to develop such solutions. So uh, all of these, I mean, these are straightforward things, but I'm very happy that multimodal AI as well as AI agents are the first two, at least, that are listed. So
for the benefits of those watching, can you remind our viewers what multimodal AI actually is?
multimodal would be multiple modes of interacting with AI, including visual as well as auditory, as well as input and output. And I think if somebody is not familiar with agents, agents are smaller forms of AI which dedicated limited scope and hence much better accuracy. And you can string agents together to generate a very reliable output in the long run,
Yeah.
and improving the accuracy of the entire process. So exciting that Google has published all of this. But
And
that,
maybe
yeah.
I was just saying, maybe what we should do in a year's time is look back on this particular report and see how accurate it is. I mean, I'm fairly certain it's going to be very accurate.
Well, let's see. But we are finally ready to talk about the story that we have titled our episode on. Personal AI supercomputer is what the very flashy NVIDIA CEO, who always wears the best motorcycle jackets without, I do not think that
He
he
is a fashion icon.
yes. All right. So just a quick reference. We the title of the episode, it is based on a song, is from the Depeche Mode, or based inspired by the Depeche Mode song, "Personal Jesus." And this story, this is the coolest thing in CES 2025, which happened last week in Las Vegas. So it is obviously, the article is from TechCrunch, and the focus is the NVIDIA project, which was unveiled, called Project Digits. It is a compact form factor cloud computing platform with access to NVIDIA's Grace Blackwell hardware. So to break it down, it gives access the supercomputing level to all sorts of people. I mean, it's affordable in the context of how expensive these systems are. And the CEO mentions this as a personal AI supercomputer designed for AI researchers and students, and it has the GB10 Grace Blackwell superchip and can run AI models with up to 200 billion parameters. That's a lot of processing that is available for researchers. So we all should be excited technically. And two units or multiple units can be linked to each other. Each unit costs around 3,000 USD. It's incredible. And Tony, this is, in my opinion, the coolest things. But is there anything else that has caught your attention from the CES 2025?
No, I haven't. I was before this podcast looking up to see who Grace Blackwell was. I couldn't find anyone that was related. You know, what amazes me here, yes, $3,000 seems like an awful lot of money for a single box. But how much would it cost to buy the equivalent in traditional computing power? It would be millions of dollars.
Right, right.
So what they're doing is incredible, and I think it's only going to be a huge boon to AI researchers and AI development companies.
Right, and the other thing that I've not explored this much, but apparently small form cute robots like pet robots are a rage in CS as well. So maybe we can see as in like Zumbas which are cute, I suppose, something of that sort. We will see, we will see. Anyway, the next and the last big sort of article that we'll talk about is from Replicability Index, and this is I guess an opinion. It's titled "The Time for AI-Generated Peer Reviews Is Now." So this is based on an editorial rejection, based on obviously reviewer letters and reviewer feedback. So one of the reviewers, the author states that one of the reviewers seemed to be biased as their data was reanalyzed unfavorably, and the second reviewer lacked depth in their review. But this author used ChatGPT for constructive critique, and ChatGPT's review was detailed, highlighting strengths and weaknesses, and basically makes the case that AI reviews could improve the peer review process. And that's what we've been talking about over the last several, like 25
Yeah.
episodes. And but we still want human oversight, at least at this in January 2025. AI is not mature enough to do everything by itself. But if you give AI reviews to a reviewer, it's very likely that the quality of the review will improve. Agree, Tony?
Oh, I'm sure in terms of how what AI could do to summarize the research, to analyze the structure of the research. I think there are some really interesting things that are happening. We're developing some of those things ourselves, as you know,
Mm-hmm.
which we're rolling out later this year. But you made a comment earlier on about the bias of the peer review. I mean, I think nobody ever said that the traditional peer review process was perfect. It has its flaws, and bias is going to be one of those flaws. But it's still the best system, and anything that can be added to support that in terms of the use of AI to support the reviewer can only make those reviews even better.
Right. We are moving on to the first of our three quick hits. It's a quick story. The Bone and Joint Society, which publishes Journal of Bone and Joint Surgery, has launched an AI-generated podcast developed by 67 Bricks. It includes content from Bone and Joint Open, Research and 360, and aims to help users stay updated while multitasking. Quick question, Tony. Do you think we already are at a stage where the complex research can be, let's say, delivered to your eventual end customer, which is another researcher mostly, in the form of AI generated podcasts?
Well, I suppose we're at the stage where research can be summarized pretty effectively
Mm-hmm.
by AI tools, by some Gen AI tools. A podcast with a natural human voice is surely just a natural extension of that.
Right. And to be fair, I have been experimenting with Google's Notebook LM, and it is a wonderful way to get into dense textual documents, at least the first entry point, because you can generate realistic sounding podcasts based on
Yeah,
text documents. And this is probably one use case. I mean, I'm very happy that this society has come out with the podcast itself, because I'm expecting a lot of third parties to make podcasts using the existing AI and to market it as things that they produce. So that is probably in my opinion transparency. There's a transparency issue there. So this is a good step, is what I would think.
I would agree.
Yeah, and then very interesting, personally interesting as well. It's a news feature from Nature titled "How AI is Unlocking Ancient Texts and Could Rewrite History." That's a little extreme, but it basically AI helps uh, old Roman scrolls and cuneiform tablets, to unravel them, to decipher them, and neural networks provide more data than ever. So AI can fill in all the gaps, and that's very good in terms of figuring out what people were talking about thousands of years ago. And
Sure.
projects like Vesuvius Challenge show AI's potential. AI tools enhance researchers' capabilities and could transform historical research and questions. Tony, thoughts on this so far? Are you excited? I mean,
This is a super positive use of AI in
mhm.
terms of um, uh, to understand our heritage, our legacies.
Hmm.
Uh, I'm really really excited to see how this one goes.
Well, the director of data science in Crimson AI or Trinka is actually working on developing large language models in native
Yes,
Indian
I thought,
languages. Yeah, it's wonderful. Apurv, who I've had conversations with in another podcast, so I'm very excited for such AI developments to happen. Maybe we can provide. AI is currently, I think, most of AI is primarily in English and maybe in Mandarin, and that's what we are talking about. But we want AI to be available in all the 6,000, if I'm not mistaken, spoken languages, so that people can actually interact with artificial intelligence in their native tongue. We have to preserve
yeah,
languages as well.
yeah.
And finally, a story which I think you have some sort of a personal connection to. It is by, if I'm not mistaken, the founder of Clear Skies. It's titled Bigger and Better Oversight from Clear Skies. Written by Adam Day on his Medium. So, Tony, you have any personal relationship with Adam Day?
I used to work with Adam. Adam and I previously worked together at the same publishing organization many
Mm-hmm.
years ago. Adam is a very, very talented data scientist, and we're guys
Hmm.
as a partner to offer their paper mill detection
Right.
services as part of our service.
Well, I was hoping to zoom into the paper mill alarm graphic, but paper mill alarm developed by Clear Skies has grown into a comprehensive tool. It offers a lot of features for publishers as well as researchers. It uses network analysis to identify organized research fraud, and it basically looks at all of this. That's what I wanted to show you. The tool was initially free but faced some misuse, leading to a paid version. Now, the cool part of this story, at least the reason why we are talking about it in quick hit, is that Adam refers to Douglas Adams' concept called SEP field. So, have you read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the
I
Galaxy?
have many years ago. I have read it, and I vaguely remember what SEP is.
Well,
Being
yeah, for somebody who's
we have
wondering, yes, SCP refers to somebody else's problem. So Douglas Adams, I think this is a quote from Douglas Adams, and SCP is something that we cannot see or do not see, or our brain does not let us know that we see, because we think that it is somebody else's problem, and that's what SCP means. The brain just edits it out like a blind spot. So why are we talking about SCP? Because Adam is referring to the fact that while he was developing Paper Mill Alarm, he considered one aspect of how research fraud could be happening as SCP, and he realized that, and he wants the rest of the community to consider this as
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, but that's the iterative process, isn't it? You're always learning. You're always reviewing your decisions, and if you need to make a change, you make a change, and
Right.
then it becomes your problem, not someone else's.
So we'll have to your YP, I suppose. I don't know what CP field becomes YP.
You're right for YP.
All right, but the pop shots is not your problem. It's something that we enjoy creating to disseminate information. And if suppose Tony, somebody wants to find all the 26 episodes that we have published before this, how can they do it?
Yeah, so all the episodes are available on YouTube and on LinkedIn. If you go to YouTube and search Inago PubShots, you'll see a link to the PubShots page with all the episodes that are available so far. Or if you want to contact me or KK directly, you can also contact us via LinkedIn, or you can contact me directly at tonyo@inago.com.
Excellent. And as I mentioned earlier, if you're watching it on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification icon. And if you find content interesting, including, the stuff that we talk about artificial intelligence and peer review, please share it with your colleagues and ask them to experiment and give us feedback if you're using Gemini Pro models for the Gemini Reviewer GitHub, project. Please let us know, and we would love to hear your stories and maybe even communicate to the rest of the audience what you felt while you went through the product. So that
Okay.
brings us to the end of our episodes. Any personal anecdotes to share? Any new records, Tony, that you have bought in the last?
I'm always buying, much to my wife's, she's a very patient woman. I'm always buying new records. And today I received a vinyl copy of a record I bought on CD nearly 30 years ago, "Be Here Now" by Oasis. So I'm looking forward to listening to that again for first time in a long time.
One of my favorite albums. I think I bought a CD of it back in the 90s. Your favorite
I think I bought it the day it came out. I mean, I was a huge fan back then.
favorite song from Be Here Now?
Stand by Me.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. I love the chord progression.
Also, Don't Turn Away. Don't Turn Away is a good song.
All right, so that brings us to the end of PubShorts episode 27, Personal AI. And until the next time, on behalf of Tony as well as the entire team that helps us bring such content, this is Dr. KK signing off. We'll see you in the next one. Bye, Tony.
Bye.